They say the Vatican is the holiest place on earth, a city within a city, a sanctuary of faith, a fortress of light. But beneath the marble floors, beneath the cathedrals, beneath the tombs of saints and forgotten popes, there is something that has never seen the sun, and it was never meant to. The story begins with a letter. Father Matteo Albrezzi was not a man who frightened easily. A historian for the Vatican Apostolic Archives, he had spent 20 years studying forbidden texts, censored gospels, and sealed testimonies from centuries past. He believed in reason, in structure, in faith, until the letter arrived. It bore no stamp, no seal, only his name, handwritten in faded ink. Inside was a single sentence: "The seventh door has been opened." At first, he thought it a prank, perhaps a reference to apocryphal myths about hidden chambers beneath the Vatican. Legends whispered among seminarians about archives that were never catalogued, vaults that did not appear on any map. But that night, the bells of St. Peter's Basilica rang at 3:33 a.m. Not once, not twice, 13 times. The next morning, 3 Swiss guards were gone. No resignation, no reassignment. No bodies, erased, as if they had never existed. There are levels beneath the Vatican the public knows about: the necropolis, the scavi, ancient Roman graves resting beneath Christian foundations. But there is another level, unofficial, unacknowledged, unblessed. It does not appear in architectural plans. It is not spoken of in theological circles. It is referred to only in fragmented Latin phrases buried in the margins of 14th century manuscripts. Sub umbra Dei, custodimus. Under the shadow of God, we guard. Guard what? Matteo intended to find out. Access required 3 keys. One belonged to the archivist, one to the Cardinal Secretary of State, and the third had not been used in over a century. It was kept in a black velvet box beneath the Apostolic Palace. Matteo had seen it only once, a jagged iron relic engraved with symbols older than Christianity itself. When he asked Cardinal Viscari about it years ago, the old man had replied, "Some truths are not meant to strengthen faith, Father Matteo. They are meant to protect it." That was before the letter. The descent began at midnight. The elevator did not exist on any blueprint. Hidden behind a false wall of stone, it groaned as if awakening from a long sleep. Matteo was not alone. 2 silent members of an inner ecclesiastical order stood beside him. Men without insignia, without expression. They did not pray. That was the first sign something was wrong. The elevator did not display numbers, only symbols: cross, crown, key, sword, and then an eye. When the button marked with the eye illuminated on its own, the elevator began to descend, far deeper than the necropolis, far deeper than any foundation should allow. The doors opened to darkness, not the absence of light, but a thickness, a presence. The corridor ahead was carved from black stone, not Roman, not medieval. The walls were etched with languages Matteo did not recognize. Some symbols seemed to move when he did not look directly at them. At the end of the corridor stood a door. The 7th door. It was not grand, not golden, no ornamentation. Just iron, scarred from the inside. And that was when Matteo noticed the scratches. Thousands of them. As if something had tried to get out. Cardinal Viscari was waiting inside. But he looked older than Matteo remembered. Thinner, paler, terrified. "You should not have come," the cardinal whispered. Matteo stepped inside. The chamber was circular. In the center stood a containment structure, reinforced glass etched with scripture from Revelation. Inside it was not a relic, not bones, not a manuscript. It was a body, but not human. Its proportions were wrong. Limbs elongated, skin like burned parchment stretched over something that seemed almost skeletal. Its head tilted at an unnatural angle, and where its eyes should have been, there was movement, not blinking, not breathing, watching. Matteo felt it before he understood it, a pressure inside his mind, a whisper that was not sound but intention. "You call it an angel," Biscari said hoarsely. "That is the lie." Matteo's blood ran cold. "In 1307, the cardinal continued, beneath Solomon's temple, the Knights Templar found something. They believed it was proof of divine presence. They were wrong. The church seized it, contained it, studied it, and then buried it deep beneath the Vatican. Because it was not a messenger of God. It was something that claimed to be." Matteo stepped closer to the glass. The creature's head shifted slightly. The symbols carved into the chamber walls began to vibrate. "You see," Biscari whispered, trembling. "It does not age. It does not decay. It speaks without speaking. And when men listen too long..." He gestured toward a wall lined with old photographs. Popes, cardinals, scholars, all who had spent time in this chamber. All who had later died under mysterious circumstances. Suicide, madness, self-inflicted silence. "It tells them truths," Biscari said, "about the beginning, about what came before, about what watches us still." Matteo felt the pressure increase. A thought that was not his own formed in his mind. "You built your faith on a prison." He staggered back. "It was not sent to guide humanity," the cardinal said. "It was sent to observe, to influence, to harvest." "Harvest what?" Matteo whispered. The creature's elongated fingers twitched against the glass. "Belief." The seventh door had not been opened from the outside. It had been unlocked from within. For centuries, the church believed they were containing it. But the truth was far worse. It allowed itself to be imprisoned. Because from here, beneath the spiritual center of billions, it could whisper into councils, into conclaves, into doctrine, small changes, subtle shifts, wars justified, secrets buried, truths reshaped, not to destroy faith, but to feed on it. The Swiss guards who vanished, they had heard it, all at once. A coordinated whisper, too loud, too revealing. And now the containment field was weakening. The iron door behind them trembled slightly. The scratches on its surface were fresh. Matteo realized something horrifying. The creature was smiling, not with lips, but with certainty. "It cannot leave," Matteo said desperately. Biscari looked at him with hollow eyes. "It does not need to." The lights flickered. The scripture etched into the glass began to crack. Latin phrases split down the middle, as if the words themselves were rejecting containment. The whisper grew louder, not in Matteo's ears. In his memories, he saw moments from his childhood, his ordination, his doubts, his private fears. And the voice, ancient, patient, spoke one final thought. "If I step into the light, your world will call me salvation." The glass shattered. The Vatican bells rang again at 3:33 a.m., 13 times. The next morning, Father Matteo Albrizzi was declared missing. The seventh door was sealed. Again, officially, nothing had happened. Tourists still fill St. Peter's Square. Pilgrims still kneel in prayer. White smoke still rises when a new pope is chosen. And beneath their feet, far below the tomb of St. Peter, something waits, not imprisoned, not asleep, listening, because faith is strongest where fear is deepest. And the silence beneath the Vatican is not empty. It is patient, if you listen carefully. The bells sometimes ring when no one pulls the rope.